So I know this was 13 years in the making since you saw the book, you read the book. And your family, you have someone in your family who is black.
Yes.
Did you put anybody in the film who was like someone in your family?
No, not specifically. That's an interesting question. It wasn't so much about specifically mapping my story onto Nella Larsen's. Nella Larsen's story gave me language and understanding and compassion for my own family in a way that I didn't have before I read that book. Like, it did what great art should do. It gave me something of truth that pertained to me. So I just had a passion and a belief in this book, and I wanted to portray it. Now, that doesn't mean that I didn't recognize aspects of these women and members of my own family in myself. Like, I don't, that's definitely true, but that's true of any artistic endeavor or anyone who attempts to make art, because I don't believe that you could do it without feeling that on some level.
Lots of people pass all the time.
It's easy for a Negro to pass for white. I'm not sure it'd be so simple for a white person to pass for color.
So you haven't ever thought to?
What?
You ever thought of passing?
No, why should I? I have everything I've ever wanted.
This is my husband, John Bellew.
Does he?
No?
You dislike Negroes, Mr. Bellew?
No, not at all. I hate them.
There is an incredible amount of detail in what you have done here, and the wardrobe and the hats. I love the hats. But there are a couple of scenes where Claire is so over the top and makes Irene think about her status in the world. And there's one scene where she is looking off. Irene is in the house and is looking off, and you shoot her from profile. Can you tell me about that scene?
Yeah, I'm trying to think about it was always very, it's interesting that you say that. I was always very specific about when I shot them both in the same shot, and when I was choosing to have them look at each other and one person not being aware that the other one was looking at them, or vice versa, or when they are looking at each other, very specific moments. And that's certainly, this is a big question. I could talk about this one for a long time. I'm trying to keep it short. Certainly, as one of the difficulties, challenges of adapting this to screen and making this as a filmmaker was that you have to slowly be let in on the fact that Irene is unstable. Claire is actually in many ways free. She's performing something, but within that performance, she is free to be herself. And yes, that self might be manipulative, it might be wily, it might be coquettish and all these things, but she is true to herself and she gets what she wants. She's not, whereas the other one, you have to slowly understand that she is so bound and constricted by her own idea of what her social performance should be.
It's almost like a secret.
Yes, and that she's actually has no idea who she is, and she sort of unravels in the presence of someone who really is free in this sense. So to try and reveal that did become about finding those quiet moments where we could really scrutinize Irene and see her revealing something of that truth, because it's kind of tricky, because even if you could crack open Irene's head, it would be lies, because she's not honest with herself. So just observing her is kind of was the trick.
Well, because she couldn't say it. She
could not say it. She couldn't say it to herself, no.
Which brings up the question, the technical question about the aspect ratio that you shot in. Is that meant to show that constriction, that being trapped?
Absolutely. It's absolutely meant to show the constriction and being trapped. It's also, it's a sort of literal answer, but if you think of this movie as thematically being about categories and assigning people into boxes, whether it's man, woman, gay, straight, black, white, whatever it is, then I literally wanted to put them in a box so that, you feel that pressure from the outside. But also, something about 4:3 also really centers the face. And this is also a story about faces, how we see them, how they want to be seen, how they project, how they are looked at, how they're scrutinized. And there is literally no room on the side of the frame for anything else but the face. So it works very well for close-up, which is, I knew I wanted to shoot so much of the movie in quite a confronting close-up.
Thanks. And one last question. Is there any director you've worked with that put something in your head that you used on this film?
That I used on this film specifically? I don't think specifically, actually, funnily enough. I mean, I think the luxury of having worked with so many directors is that it gave me freedom to be myself. I know that sounds kind of perverse, but if you see enough directors' work, you understand that there is no right way to do it. There is no formula, and ultimately it boils down to your instincts and your relationship to the frame and what you're seeing. Do I like this or do I not? And that was a great luxury to feel that.